You know that thing where you're in the middle of a lecture, pen in hand, writing like your life depends on it, and then the teacher asks a question about what they just said 5 minutes ago, and you have no idea. Zero. You literally wrote it down, but your brain was somewhere else the entire time. That was me. Every single class. I had the notes, I had the highlights, I had the color-coded margins, but ask me what any of it meant, I'd freeze. My hand was working, my brain was on vacation. Here's the worst part. I'd get home, open my notebook, and it was like reading someone else's handwriting. The words were mine, but the understanding wasn't. I'd spend 3 hours rereading the same pages, convinced I was studying, when really I was just looking at words. Come exam time, those pretty notes became pretty useless. I'd recognize the terms but couldn't connect them. I'd see definitions but couldn't apply them. I'd spent an entire semester building a notebook that looked like a textbook but functioned like a decoration. The real problem? I was a note-taking fraud. I looked like a good student. I acted like a good student. But my brain was never actually in the room. I was a transcription machine, not a learner. And the crazy thing is, nobody tells you this. Teachers see you writing and assume you're engaged. Parents see the filled pages and assume you're working hard. Even if you assume that because your hand is moving, your brain must be too. But they're separate systems. Your hand can write while your brain is planning dinner, thinking about that text, or just flat out checked out. That's the trap. That's the lie most students live. I found this out the hard way. Failed a test I thought I studied for. Not because I didn't put in the hours. I did. I sat there, I highlighted, I read. But I never once forced my brain to do the actual work of learning. I never made it organized. I just fed it information and hoped something would stick. Nothing did. Then I came across this Japanese note-taking system. Not from a trendy study blog, not from some productivity guru, from actual Japanese students who have to pass exams that make yours look like a coloring book. Their standardized tests are brutal. The competition is insane. The stakes are real. So their techniques didn't evolve to look good on Instagram. They evolved to work under pressure, to make information stick when you have no time and too much to learn. This system is called the Kenken method, and it's built on one brutal truth. Your brain only learns what it has to work for. Here's the setup. 1 page, 1 concept, 4 boxes, that's it. No apps, no special notebooks, no fancy pens. You draw a vertical line 2 inches from the left edge, then a horizontal line across the middle. 4 boxes. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Each box has one job, and that job is designed to force your brain to do something active, not passive. Top left box, the concept. Not a sentence, not a paragraph. One core idea in 10 words or less. If you can't shrink it to 10 words, you don't understand it yet. This is the first trap most students fall into. They write long, detailed summaries and think that means they understand. It doesn't. It means they can copy. When you force yourself to compress, your brain has to decide what actually matters. It has to filter. It has to be judged. That judgment is the first step of real learning. Top right box, the explanation. But here's the catch. You don't write what the teacher said. You write what you understand, in your own words. If you just copy the teacher verbatim, your brain checks out. It knows the information is on the page, so it doesn't need to process it. When you force yourself to rephrase, your brain has to translate. It has to take someone else's language and turn it into yours. That translation is where understanding lives. If you can't explain it simply, you don't know it. This box exposes that truth immediately. Bottom left box, the example. And this is where most students give up. Because making an example is hard. It's not copying, it's creating. You have to take this abstract concept and ground it in something real. If the teacher gives an example, you can use it. But if they don't, you have to make one up. And your brain will resist. It will tell you to skip this box. It will tell you you'll do it later. Don't listen. This box is the bridge between knowing and understanding. A concept without an example is just a fact you can recite. A concept with an example is knowledge you can use. When the exam throws a question you've never seen before, the example box is what saves you, because you've already practiced applying the concept to something real. Bottom right box, the question, not the answer. The question, what don't you get? What feels wrong? What would you ask the teacher if they were standing right here? This box is uncomfortable, Most students skip it because it forces you to admit you don't know everything. But that's exactly why it works. Your brain is excellent at hiding gaps. It tells you that you understand when you don't. This box forces you to expose those gaps while you still have time to fix them. Before the exam. Before it's too late. Most students discover their confusion when they see the exam question. This box makes you discover it during the lecture, when you can still do something about it. That's the whole system. 4 boxes, 1 concept, 1 page. Not 1 page per lecture, 1 page per idea. If your teacher covers 5 big concepts in an hour, you use 5 pages. Sounds like more work? It is. But here's the thing. Those 5 pages are everything you need. When you review, you don't dig through 10 messy pages looking for what matters. Each page is self-contained. Each page is a complete learning unit. You can test yourself on any page independently. You can find your weak spots instantly. You don't waste time rereading what you already know. You focus on what you don't. And the review method is where this system becomes unfair. Most students review by rereading. That's passive. Your eyes move, your brain sleeps. With this system, you review by covering 3 boxes and testing yourself on the 4th. Cover the explanation. Can you explain the concept in your own words? Cover the example. Can you come up with a real one? Cover the questions. Can you answer them now? This is an active recall. Research shows it improves retention by up to 200% compared to rereading. This system doesn't just take notes. It builds a self-testing machine into every page. I used this for 3 months before my hardest exam. My classmates had notebooks full of highlighted paragraphs. I had a stack of 4-box pages. They spent review week rereading everything, hoping something would click. I spent review week testing myself on every box, knowing exactly what I knew and what I didn't. When the exam came, they were surprised by the questions. I wasn't. Every question felt like a confirmation of something I'd already practiced retrieving. I didn't just pass. I dominated. The Japanese students who use this don't do it because it looks cool. They do it because their exams demand it. When you have to learn massive amounts of information in limited time, efficiency isn't optional. It's survival. This system is efficient because every step forces your brain to engage. During the lecture, you're not copying. You're compressing, translating, applying, and questioning. During note-taking, you're not decorating. You're organizing, connecting, and exposing gaps. During review, you're not rereading. You're retrieving, testing, and strengthening. Every step is active. Every step builds memory that lasts. So here's my challenge. Try this for 1 week. 1 subject, 1 lecture per day. Draw the 4 boxes. Fill them honestly. Don't copy from the textbook. Don't skip the example box because it's hard. Don't skip the question box because it's uncomfortable. Do it properly for 7 days. Then compare your memory to what you had before. I promise you'll notice the difference. Not just in what you remember, in how you think, in how you listen, in how you learn. You don't need better notes. You need notes that make your brain work. This system does exactly that. 4 boxes, 1 concept, total focus. That's the Japanese method that made me remember everything. If you try this, let me know how it goes in the comments. And if you want more study techniques that actually work, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.